Okay, Rachel, I'm going to admit all. We have one more in the waiting room, Rachel, and then when that's in all clear, you can go ahead and start. You may begin.
All right. Well, hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome to our crew meeting as well as our town hall. It's incredible to see this many FFA members on our call today. It looks like we have 100 participants. So I commend you all for coming and sharing your perspective and hopefully coming to listen to the perspective of others. So with that, I'm going to do a quick overview of what our meeting today is going to look like, and then we will jump right in. So the first thing we'll have is our town hall hearing on the topic of sections and regions, which we'll get to that in just a moment. We will have 8 verbal presenters, and then we will jump into a straw poll of our reaction to this. We'll also dive deeper into that topic when it comes. And then for those of you that are on here for the traditional crew meetings, our goal is to have those start about 4:25, excuse me. So we'll actually break into our traditional crew meetings, breaking into our committees around 4:25, and then our goal is to wrap up around 4:45. 5 o'clock. So I just wanted to give that general overview for those of you who are also here for crew and committee meetings. So the first thing I want to do really quick before we jump into our town hall presentation is play 2 videos that as a state office we've decided we would like to present just to kind of set the tone for our meeting today in our town hall. Both of them just showcase the value of different perspectives. So the first one, I'm going to share my screen. The first one is from the movie The Great Outdoors. So just 2 little movie clips I'm going to share with you. So bear with me real quick. And I just encourage you all to watch these and take them however you will, and let them speak to you however they will.
I have great memories of this country when I was a kid, and I used to come up here with my dad, and I want the boys to have the same memories. I would look around you, Roman, for God's sakes. This is beautiful country here. Take a good look.
I'll tell you what I see when I look out there, if you want to know.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I see the underdeveloped resources of northern Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. I see a syndicated development consortium exploiting over $1.5 billion in forest products. I see a paper mill, and if the strategic metals are there, a mining operation. A greenbelt between the condos on the lake and a waste management facility, focusing on the newest rage in toxic waste, medical refuse, infected bandages, body parts, IV tubing, contaminated glassware, entrails, syringes, fluid, blood, low-grade radioactive waste, all safely contained, sunken in the lake, and sealed for centuries. Now, I ask you, what do you see?
I just see trees. I have great memories of this country when I was a kid.
So that movie clip is from The Great Outdoors, like I said, and Roman and Chet kind of have different perspectives because they have different experiences. So as we go throughout today, please keep in mind that everyone has different perspectives because they've had different experiences and we all come from different areas. And then the other movie clip I have to share is from the movie Patch Adams. So I'm going to go ahead and share that. Once again, take this however.
May I come in?
If you bend your medial collateral ligaments, place one talus in front of another, I don't see where you'd have a problem. Of course, if there were a news story covering this event, the headline might read, "Small brain enters room."
Fingers. What's the answer?
Oh, you're another one of those bright young fellows who always know the right answer. That it? Welcome to real life. How many do you see?
I have 4 fingers, Arthur.
No. Look at me. You're focusing on the problem. If you focus on the problem, you can't see the solution. Never focus on the problem. Look at me. How many do you see? Look beyond the fingers. How many do you see?
Eight.
8. 8. Yes. 8's a good answer. Yes. See what no one else sees. See what everyone else chooses not to see. Out of fear, conformity, laziness. See the whole world anew each day. Well, the truth is, you're well on the way. You didn't see something here besides a crazy, bitter old man. You wouldn't have come in the first place.
All right. So in that clip, Patch met a fellow patient.
Rachel,
who-
if I could have you put a pause on things, we met our capacity. We had to add more capacity, so we probably need to wait about 5 minutes before we start any kind of testimony so that we can allow those schools to join in. We've never had this many at a crew meeting before. And so it's been updated, but we want to give those schools time to try again.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Bonselmeyer. That's good to hear that many people want to join. So real quick, we'll just debrief that and then we'll wait about 5 minutes. But in that clip, Patch meets a fellow patient who kind of adjusts his perspective and tells them that they see what they choose to see and that we all choose to see different things. So those were just some video clips that as a state officer team and a state staff, something we thought was important to share with you all to kind of set the tone for our town hall today. So with that, we will wait until we are good to go with our town hall. Also, while we are waiting, if your name doesn't have your name and then your school next to it, please go ahead and change that. So it should have your name dash your school. So if it's not like that, please go ahead and change that. Thank you.
Hey, Rachel, I'd still like to give it a couple more minutes. We've increased our capacity to over 500 now. I would be quite surprised if we had that many at a crew meeting. I must say, I expect this attendance at future crew meetings. That would be very exciting.
I have a question.
Rachel, I'm here waiting to hear from one more school had alerted me they had trouble and just trying to make sure that they are in based on them getting the rejection because we were at capacity. And then I will give you the green light once I've heard back from that school. Okay, Rachel, we are all good. And I just want to make sure I apologize to everyone for the delay. We did not anticipate those kind of numbers. So thank you all for joining. I do apologize for the delay, but we should have more than enough space now. So thank you. Back to you, President.
Thank you, Mrs. Bunselmeyer, and thank you all for joining. For those of you that are new, we're really excited to have you all here. So I'm going to go ahead and kick off the town hall with an overview of what it is and our expectations, and then we will go ahead and get into the verbal testimonies. So the Illinois FFA Board formed this town hall in reply to the IAVAT resolution to revisit and provide more information regarding the Illinois FFA constitutional amendment, which is to replace the word section with region. We have 5 expectations and structural points of this town hall. The first is all verbal testimonies will be allowed 3 minutes to present and answer questions. The verbal presenters will be cut off at 3 minutes. Mrs. Bunselmeyer will also share the link to all testimonies because we did also have written testimonies that are not going to be verbal testimonies. When you give your testimony, and I will call on you, and then Kate is going to unmute you, and then you may begin, and I'll begin the 3-minute timer. Once the 3-minute timer goes off, then you will be muted again. If you have questions for the presenter, you'll go ahead and send those questions to a co-host. So I believe those 2 co-hosts that we would like you to send them to are Mr. Perry and Miss Meisner. So either Mr. Perry or Miss Meisner are who you will direct those questions to, and they will read those if time allows in the 3 minutes. All participants are expected to abide by the Illinois FFA CARES agreement throughout the town hall. Those failing to adhere to the CARE document guidelines will be removed from the town hall. Mrs. Bunselmeyer will also add the CARE document link to the chat. Following the town hall, we will ask individuals on the Zoom call to complete a straw poll vote of whether you are in favor or against the motion. This vote does not mean that it is something that is set in stone. This is simply to gather what our membership feels. So all we're doing is just a straw poll vote. It sets nothing in stone. This is for our FFA board to give us direction on whether or not we should present this again at state convention. So it's very important to understand that this vote does not decide anything. It's just to give the FFA board direction. And we will begin with a presenter on the affirming side of the topic and move to a presenter in opposition. So a few things. Once again, if you have questions, you should not be able to unmute yourself. If you have questions, please direct those to a co-host, specifically Mr. Perry or Ms. Meisner. We have 8 verbal presenters. And like I said, we will start with the affirming side of the issue and move to the opposition, then back and forth. Mrs. Bunselmeyer, is there anything I am missing before we get started, or any questions that are in the chat that we can go ahead and get answered?
I didn't see any questions in the chat, but I do want to clarify that Mr. Perry and Mrs. Meisner have renamed themselves as Questions Co-host Mr. Perry, Questions Co-host Ms. Meisner, and they will be the ones that will be articulating the questions for you. So great job, Rachel. Don't see any other questions so far in the chat. So let's roll, friends.
Awesome. Thank you. So our first presenter is Mark Jones II from Piatone in Section 10. And like I said, he is on the affirming side of this issue in favor. Mark, as soon as you're unmuted, you will begin.
Hello, my name is Mark Jones II from the Piatone FFA chapter, and I'm sharing my support for the constitutional amendment to change sections to regions. Traditions. Our organization is full of them. Memorizing the FFA Creed is a rite of passage for many members, for first-year members. The FFA emblem is a symbol that we display on our jackets, t-shirts, awards, and other items representing our organization. Our name, the National FFA Organization, gives us something to be proud of being part of. Each of these traditions holds an important place in our organization, but each of these traditions has slightly changed over time. The FFA Creed has been revised twice. The emblem has been modified 6 times over the years, and in 1988, we changed our name from the Future Farmers of America to the National FFA Organization. Each of these changes to our traditions were made in order to meet the needs of our organization at the time. These changes didn't make our traditions any less meaningful. In fact, these changes had the opposite effect. They allowed our organization to continue growing and thriving, and we have the same opportunity with this constitutional amendment to change section to region. The change section to region is necessary for the Illinois Association FFA to ensure that every member feels welcomed and understood. In the past, most recently in 2021, school administrators interested in starting new agriculture programs in the Chicagoland area voiced some concerns about the phrase Section 8. When they were told that their school would be in Section 8, the school administrators were confused and concerned about the negative connotations that were associated with the phrase. These concerns were brought to the attention of state FFA leadership. A portion of the Housing Act of 1937, often referred to as the phrase Section 8, provides rental assistance to the landlords on behalf of low-income households. Separately, throughout history, Section 8 has also been a category of discharge for the United States military used for a service member judged mentally unfit for service. Section 8 discharges were often given to members of the LGBTQIA+ community as they were deemed mentally unfit to serve. The phrase they are Section 8 was commonly used to describe these individuals. Illinois FFA members. We cannot change the way stakeholders, administrators, and the public perceive the term Section 8. We cannot prevent these individuals from commenting or questioning our members when they identify themselves as a part of Section 8. We cannot prevent the number of times our members have to answer these questions and why the leaders in an organization with such an unfortunate name. But what can we do is begin a new tradition by changing just one word of our Illinois FFA Constitution in order to remove barriers for members and prevent negative perceptions about our organization. This move is far from unprecedented. Did you know that there is only one other state in the country, Wisconsin, that uses the term section in their naming structure? Meanwhile, 10 other states already use region as one of their terms. Lastly, just like the traditions of our
Thumbs up.
FFA creed.
Thank you, Mark. All right, thank you, Mark. It was brought to my attention that Mr. Perry was not made a co-host, and I think he is now.
That's been
So,
fixed.
okay, thank you so much. And like I said, we will only be able to get to questions if there is time left in the 3 minutes. We will now move on to a speaker that is in the opposition, Thomas Cottingham from Carlinville High School. Thomas, as soon as you're unmuted, you are good to begin.
Hi there. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I would like to start off by saying that Mr. Jones did a terrific job. As of right now, it is the opinion of myself, along with many FFA members, alumni, supporters, and agriculture professionals in my immediate area, that the amendment to change Illinois FFA sections to Illinois FFA regions is unnecessary. While I'm open to the idea of change and very much sympathize with the unfortunate situation that Section 8 finds itself in, I do feel like the change to the amendment is negligible and really doesn't do anything other than complicate communication in 24 other sections who presently have no issue to my understanding. Examples that have been brought up to me various times have stated that the amendment is necessary because of confusion caused by identifying people and programs of the FFA as part of Section 8. With this matter, I personally feel that there are very few times in which a part of the FFA could be confused with government housing projects. And on top of that, I feel like this problem would much easier be averted by specifying in conversation and correspondence that people and programs are part of FFA Section 8 or even Illinois FFA Section 8. As a final statement, I feel like sections are an integral part of the Illinois FFA, with many people connecting sections very deeply with the history of this organization. And I believe, unless I am mistaken, that with the Illinois Association FFA being divided into sections for the vast majority of its history, there was seemingly no problem until recently. This span of time including a 49-year span in which Section 8 existed alongside of Section 8 government housing after Section 8 was expanded throughout the United States in 1974. It is for these reasons that I feel the change is unnecessary, ill-advised, and does not benefit the best interest of our organization or its members. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak at this esteemed meeting.
Thank you, Thomas. There is 42 seconds left. Mr. Perry or Ms. Meisner, are there any questions for Thomas?
I have not received any. Oh,
Okay,
here, I just got one.
I have just received one.
you can go ahead and read it. We have 20 seconds.
All right. Why do you think FFA members simply from anywhere explain the difference between Section 8 housing and Section 8 FFA?
Thomas, you have 8 seconds if you'd like to answer that.
Well, I'm not sure if I'll have enough time, but
And our time's up. Okay. Thank you, Thomas, for presenting that, and Ms. Meisner for presenting that question. We will now move back into the in favor side of the motion with Elizabeth Heenan from Chicago High School or Chicago Ag Sciences alumni. So Elizabeth, as soon as you're unmuted, you may begin and you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay, can everyone hear me? Okay. Hello, my name is Elizabeth Heenan, and I am originally from the Chicago Ag Sciences FFA chapter in Section 8. My senior year, I served as the chapter vice president and as a Section 8 reporter. I'm currently a freshman studying animal science at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. We've all heard the saying, history repeats itself. October 17th, 1969. This was the day that the delegates of the 41st National FFA Convention adopted an amendment striking one word, male, from the Constitution. The change of the one word allowed women to join FFA. This change did not happen overnight, though. Over the course of 30 years, state and local chapters integrated female members at varying levels from chapter sweethearts to allowing women into ag classes. Then, at the 37th National Convention, it was brought up for the first time and voted down. It was then voted down again at the 38th and 40th conventions. For a fourth time at the 41st National Convention, it was brought forward one more time and the delegates approved the amendment. By removing the word male, they had changed tradition, a 41-year-old tradition that only allowed males into FFA. It was time to begin a new tradition, and we have the same opportunity before us today. Throughout my time at Chicago Ag, I've experienced a lot of positive interactions with FFA members and advisors, and some negative ones as well, because of something I had no control over, where I live. Being considered Section 8 has gotten me dirty or confused looks and jokes about housing and the people who quote-unquote belong there. Historically, Section 8 housing has had a negative connotation due to typically being in underprivileged neighborhoods. The reactions that I've received when I say I am a Section 8 officer, although not all bad, have infuriated me. I know there were quite a few times where I had thought about quitting FFA because I no longer wanted to feel like an outcast. I hope future members do not have to face the same barriers that I have. I believe that FFA is an organization for everyone, and that everyone has a place here, no matter where they're from, how they identify, or their race. Each of us belongs here. As National FFA has stated before, this is an FFA for all. If you're thinking to yourself, this is a Chicago issue, this doesn't impact my section, I want to encourage you to do something. If you're able to, open a tab on your computer screen or your phone and go to Google and type in Section 8 in the town or city that you live in. Scroll through the first few options and you will quickly notice that Section 8 impacts all of our communities and not just mine. This constitutional amendment has the opportunity to impact thousands of present and future members across our state, beyond what is currently known as Section 8. I am hopeful that in the future, we can welcome many new members into Illinois FFA Region 8, along with the 24 other regions throughout our state. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And seeing that there's only 5 seconds left, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next presenter, as though we don't have time for questions. But thank you, Elizabeth. Our next presenter is opposed to this. This is Jake Wiseman from Edwards County in Section 23. Jake, you may begin once you're unmuted.
Hello, my name is Jake Wiseman, a sophomore at Edwards County High School in Section 23. I'm against the change from section to region. It would be confusing to current members and alumni to change the terminology. There are already regional vice presidents at the national FFA level, and having 2 different regional presidents would cause problems with communication. Our FFA sponsors already struggle to understand the structure of our organization, and changing the terminology muddies the waters and makes it less clear who we are and what we're doing. In addition to my previous point, section is a traditional name unique to the state of Illinois, and changing that makes former section officers and FFA members lose their identity and importance. My sister, Emma Wiseman, served as section president last year and also testified against this amendment, along with some of her fellow presidents. E.M. Tiffany, the author of our creed, said, "I believe that American agriculture can and will hold true to the best traditions of our national life." FFA is a very traditional organization, and changing the blueprint of who we are changes where we are going. I find comfort in the tradition offered by the Illinois FFA experience. To restate a point made during the 2022 State FFA Convention, when the delegates voted down this change, this is a hasty solution and could create more issues in the coming years. For one, it will be costly for the organization to rename all section branded items. Additionally, an overwhelming amount of marketing will be required by the state reporter and staff in order to inform the public about this change to our structure. Finally, our membership already decisively shot down this motion. The Illinois FFA is a student-led organization, and the students have already spoken, voting a staggering 91% against. I do not know where the pressure to change this is coming from. I still believe the change should not happen, and as stated in the 5th paragraph of our FFA creed, I will stand solid for my part in that inspiring task. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. There is 1 minute left if there are any questions from the chat, Mr. Perry or Ms. Meisner.
So the first question that I have is, if this were to change, who do you believe would be confused by the term region?
I believe that any sponsors that we have, or members too, will be confused by this change and not really know what is going on.
Thank you, Jake. Are there any other questions?
There was another one that came in. If we change the name, don't you think the negative connotation may still remain?
Yes, I looked that up, and Region 8 in other countries also means like a bad thing. I don't remember what it was, but I think it was like poor people housing in another country.
All right, and with that, our time is up. Thank you, Jake. Can you get that to go? All right, thank you, Jake. We'll now move on to our fifth presenter who is in favor of this, Jay Beto from Normal Community High School. Jay, you can begin as soon as you're unmuted.
Hello, my name is Jay Beto. I'm from Normal Community High School. Even though my FFA chapter is part of Section 9, Section 8 is always part of my story, though I've never lived in Chicago. The first time I ever heard the term Section 8, I was in my third grade classroom at my elementary school. As I was picking up the plastic bag my teacher always gave me on Fridays or a day before break, I overheard a group of teachers talking. One of them held up a bag and asked, "Is this for Section 8?" with a tone that I couldn't quite recognize as an 8-year-old. Confused by this interaction, I decided to go home and ask my older brother what the teacher had meant. When I asked the question, I could see the defeat and pain on my brother's face. While I knew he wished he didn't have to be the one to tell me at 8 years old, I finally knew what Section 8 meant. I'll never forget what that teacher said in class that day. I'll never forget the way that she joked about me and my classmates in front of everyone. After that day, I was embarrassed to even show up to school, much less accept a bag of food in front of my classmates. Even now, each time I hear the phrase Section 8, I am reminded of this day and of the struggle my families endured in those tough times. This is not just my story, but a similar story of many of our members across our state. In Illinois, 46.5% of our students come from low-income families. That means in each of our FFA chapters across the state, there are members who hear Section 8 and it makes them feel the way that I do, like I don't belong here. With this constitutional amendment, we have the ability to change this, to remove a barrier and make all members feel welcome, like there's a place here for all of us. One word. All we need to do is change one word for our Constitution to make this happen. One word to make the FFA vision statement of providing the next generation of leaders who will provide the world, who will change the world possible. It's difficult for me to share this personal story with you today, but I know by sharing this story, I can help our members from across the state understand why this change is necessary. If you're asking why now, why is this change just being brought up now and not all those years ago? Well, I can imagine it's in part because a story like mine hasn't been shared, and members like each of you in this meeting haven't had a chance to hear it. Illinois FFA, we have an opportunity before us, an opportunity that can create a new strong tradition within our organization that removes barriers for members like myself and thousands of others. I ask for your support of the constitutional amendment that changes section to region, because there is in fact a very good reason. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jay. There are 26 seconds left if there's a question for Jay.
One question that I have is, why haven't stories like yours been shared before?
I think it's very hard for people to be very vulnerable around many people and just having being scared of a safe place. So.
You're good. Thank you, Jay. All right, we'll move on to our sixth presenter, Mackenzie Tate from Kansas, in Section 8 on the opposition side. Mackenzie, as soon as you're unmuted, you may begin.
Mackenzie, you're good to go whenever.
Okay, Mackenzie, you're up. If you are on and can hear us, you should be unmuted.
Mackenzie or your teacher, could you chat with myself or one of the questions co-hosts to let us know if you're having trouble? To make sure everyone gets the opportunity who's designated to speak. Mackenzie, if you're there and could chat with us. I don't have anyone in the waiting room. I see that she's on.
Mrs. Bunselmeyer, do you want me to move on to our next presenter?
I'm trying to connect with the ag teacher. I know the ag teacher said she's talking and we cannot hear her. So I'm going to unmute the ag teacher and see if the ag teacher cannot. She can't use the ag teacher's connection.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear. Is that Miss Amanda or is that Mackenzie?
This is Mackenzie.
We're both here.
We're both here, but
Okay,
it's
great.
me.
We can hear you now. Sorry, Rach. I think
Okay.
sorry.
Yep, you're good. You can go ahead and begin and I'll start your 3-minute timer.
Okay. Hello, my name is Mackenzie Tate, and I am the Illinois FFA Section 18 Secretary. When replacing section with region, yes, we would be solving a small problem, but what other problems would we be creating? Why is the Illinois FFA trying to change a part of our longstanding history? We have had sections for decades. Additionally, FFA members may already voted on this issue at the last state convention, and it was made abundantly clear that members across the state are not in favor of this change. Illinois FFA needs to open their eyes and remember what FFA should stand for. We are a student-led organization that advocates for agriculture. We are the next leaders of this industry. We are not the next politicians. We need to focus on our mission and not on tribally matters that are unrelated to our goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mackenzie. There are 2 minutes left if there are questions for her that roll through.
So the first question that has come up for me is, in opposition to the proposed change, you state, remember what FFA is. Can you please elaborate on the relationship to that has to change from section to region?
Yeah, I think I'm so sorry. I talked about our long-standing history and stuff like that. Well, we need to remember like what our traditions are for. Like it's us, and that we need to remember that we are FFA and we're not politicians. We are not going to do the next big thing. Like we need to remember that we are FFA, what we do, and that we advocate for agriculture and stuff like that. Not all of this stuff that we're doing right now.
I have another question from Mackenzie. In your testimony, you stated that we need to remember why we started. Was this organization not originally created for white male farmers? Would you, a woman, have been a part of the organization then?
Yes, it was originally created for male farmers, but now being a woman in agriculture that advocates for agriculture, I think it's good that we are stepping up and talking about this. Would I still have been a part of the organization then? Yes, to speak my voice, and that's why I'm a part of it now, so I can speak up about agriculture and matters like this and stuff like that.
All right, and with that, our time is up now. Thank you, Mackenzie, for sharing, and sorry about our complications. With that, we'll move on to our seventh presenter, Anna Place from Blue Ridge High School in section 16, who is in favor. So Anna, as soon as you're unmuted, you may begin, and I will start your 3-minute timer.
Hi, my name is Anna Place. I go to Blue Ridge High School. And I would like to say that I believe our state should change the label of Section 2 region based on the principle of inclusivity. Section 8 is not being included in our state on the same basis as any other section. Everyone else in this state can speak to their community, city government, or even address peers without being looked down upon. Section 8 does not get the privilege of doing notable work or speaking for themselves without being questioned about their title. As an organization, and a growing one at that, each and every chapter, section, and district needs to receive the same recognition and privilege as each other without question. Section 8 should get to feel as prideful and content with their label as everyone else feels and not feel ashamed. Our state should change section to region based on our organization's foundation, which is all about inclusivity and being together. If the future farmers of America can change to the National FFA organization based on growth and inclusivity, why can't Illinois catch up with the changing times and change our sections to regions to do the same for everyone?
Thank you, Anna. With that, we have 1 minute and 45 seconds left if there are questions for her.
So one question that I have here is, do you think we should change the number 8 instead of the word section? Why wouldn't this help the solution?
Slightly confused on the question, but it's all about the name section and not the number. So I'm going to leave it at that because the question is kind of confusing.
There are 40 seconds left if there's more questions.
Another question that came in was, you mentioned that we are a growing organization. Where do you believe our organization is growing the most?
Mostly in our members, because members around Section 8 in the Chicago region, we are growing each and every day. And we are trying to do this to get even more members. So each and every year that number goes up, and I'm happy to see that.
Okay, there are 5 seconds left. So I would say with that, we don't have time for any more questions, but both of our co-hosts are doing a great job of putting all the questions in the chat so we can all see them. At this time, we'll move on to our 8th and final presenter, which is Georgia Harvell from Canelan High School in section 6 on the opposition side. So Georgia, as soon as you're unmuted, you may begin, and I will begin your 3-minute timer.
Hello, everybody. My name is Georgia Harvell. I am the Section 6 Vice President, and I'm a current junior at Canelan High School. While I would love for all spectators to have respect for the Illinois FFA, I do not believe we should change a name that has been set in our Constitution for many years. When asked the question, why make this change, the only response that has been brought up is the Section 8 housing and correspondence to Section 8. I feel that this is dishonorable to our Illinois FFA alumni that have the legacy of being a part of a section. Furthermore, a change in the wording will lead to confusion for members across the state. Is there a change in anything but the name? And will we run into this problem again in the future? I do not feel we should accommodate to one section due to select people being negatively impacted by a name, especially because it could very well be a problem in another 50 years. Section is one of the many unique things about Illinois FFA, and changing the name to region will discredit our authenticity as a state. Thank you.
Thank you, Georgia. There is 1 minute and 52 seconds left for questions.
First question I have is, you mentioned that this change would be disrespectful to the legacy of Illinois FFA alumni. What do you mean by legacy? What did Illinois FFA alumni members share when you asked them about this?
Yes, so alumni members have fought very hard to keep the name as section. I have multiple family members and other alumni members that I have discussed this issue with, and they all agree that section, the name section being changed to region would kind of discredit our authenticity, like I said before, but also it makes what they accomplished as like section president per se, or section champion meet judger, it discredits their accomplishments when they were in FFA.
There are 40 seconds left.
Question, could we instead change the number in 8 in section 8 so the remaining 24 sections in Illinois FFA could keep their name?
I believe that this.
Jacqueline, I'm going to stop you right there, just really quick. This is Vinnie Bunselmeyer, Illinois FFA Executive Secretary. I think that is something that the FFA board would have to discuss. I don't know that that's a question that any student or even teacher for that matter can discuss. And I do know that we have somewhat touched on that before. And so that would have to be something that the FFA board would have to discuss again.
Okay, seeing that that question was not germane, we have about 25 seconds left if there is another question for Georgia.
The last question I have is, how would this change lead to additional confusion as you suggested?
I believe that many members that are currently in FFA and alumni members that have been in FFA would be confused on whether it's still section or region, whether it gets passed or not, and what this could change in the future.
Thank you, Georgia. And thank you to all of our presenters. That does wrap up our verbal presenters. Mrs. Bunselmeyer did put all of the written testimonies in the chat for you to see if anybody would like to. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Bunselmeyer to go ahead and put up our straw poll. And you guys can go ahead and vote and fill that out. But as a final reminder, the straw poll does not decide anything constitutionally for FFA Association. This is simply to give the FFA board an understanding of where our membership is at.
We have 84% of those in the call that have voted, and we've had the poll open for 1 minute and 40 some seconds. So if you would please take the time to vote in the straw poll, I would like for us to get as close to 100% as possible. And we can leave the poll open for 3 minutes, just like we allowed for testimony.
I'm getting some reports of folks not able to see the poll. So if you have the more button on your Zoom, you should be able to click on that and go to polls if you haven't seen it. So you might try that. Please let me know if you cannot resolve that issue.
This time I'm going to end the poll. We have 141 of 149 who replied to the poll, and I'm going to share the results now. If you're not able to see the results, please let us know, but that should be appearing. Rachel, if you could just give me a thumbs up if you can see the results. Okay, so this is the information that we will take to our FFA board.
All right, and with that, I think that wraps up our town hall. Thank you all so much for joining today. I think it's really important that we had all of you on here, and we certainly weren't expecting this many members. That's why we had complications at the beginning. So thank you all for joining and sharing your perspective and hopefully gaining one as well. So with that, if you're not here for crew, as far as I'm concerned, unless I'm missing anything, Mrs. Bunselmeyer, you are free to go. If you're here for crew, stay and we'll have our traditional crew meeting in just a couple of minutes.
And Rachel, I created 5 breakout rooms. Do you want me to assign people, or you want people to just be able to join them, or you want to name them? We have Ag Ed.
I think, yeah, if you just want to name them and then let people pick, that'd be fine. But sometimes I have to, like, you have to put me in one because sometimes I can't see it.
Right, I got Ag Ed, Ag Literacy. What's
Member
one?
engagement.
Member engagement.
Production.
Another one?
Or sorry.
Production. No.
Ag literacy. Did you have that one already?
I have Ag Literacy. I have Ag
Foundation.
Education. I have Foundation. Now we go. And I have one more. So I have Ag Literacy, Ag Education, Member Engagement, and Foundation.
Leadership development.
Thank you.
Do we have
Okay.
membership engagement?
I'm sorry.
Membership engagement?
I have Ag Education, which is recruitment intention, Ag Literacy, Member Engagement, Foundation, and Leadership Development. Do you need me to assign you guys to specific ones? Or you're able to join? Okay,
Um,
just let me know.
yeah, because we'll do a little something in the main room and then we'll split off.
Excellent. All right. And
All right, with that, I say we go ahead and start real crew. Who agrees? Now we can have a crew meeting. Actually, sadly enough, it's our final crew meeting, which makes me and I know my fellow state officers very sad that this is our last crew meeting. But we're still gonna have an awesome meeting and get to talk to one another and wrap up our committee work that we've worked on so hard all year. But before we do that, because we've all been on this meeting for a little while and because we're really happy that all of you have joined crew this year, I want anybody that would like to in the chat to tell us what your favorite movie is. So just type in the chat. Hopefully we'll change the settings. If not, send it to me. If you can't, send it to everyone and tell us what your favorite movie is. And then I'll put all of your names that type one and a random name generator, and then we'll give out 2 giveaway items. So we'll pick 2 people and give those giveaway items, because who doesn't want some goodies? And maybe at the end of the meeting, I'll tell you what those giveaway items are. But go ahead, type in the chat what your favorite movie is, because we kicked this meeting off with some movies. So let us know. We want to know. I'll give you like 1 minute to do that, and then we'll move into crew. All right. Thank you, everybody that has typed your favorite movie in the chat. Like I said, I'll put that in a random name generator and we'll give out 2 giveaways. Just in case we have some new individuals, welcome to a crew meeting if you've never been before. This is kind of where we dive into what would be known as delegate work during a business session that we would get into. Actually, in May, we'll have our Illinois Association FFA business session. But we have 5 committees. Each one of us major state officers chairs each of those committees. So before we break off into breakout rooms, just because there are some new faces on here, which we're really excited about, I'm going to have my fellow state officers give us a really brief overview of their committees, and then we'll go ahead and break out into breakout rooms. So Kate, I'm going to have you go ahead and start.
Awesome, thank you. I am the chair of the Ag Literacy Committee this year. So essentially our goal is to help others and FFA members and students all across the state of Illinois become more familiar with agriculture. And by posting Ag Fact Fridays on TikTok and celebrating Ag Literacy Week here in March 20th through the 24th, we are hoping to make an impact on the members and students across Illinois through the Ag Literacy Week. So with that, I will pass it over to Derek.
Thank you, Kate. I am the chair this year of the Leadership Development Committee. So our main goal is to examine the leadership development events that we host. And by that, I don't necessarily mean your traditional LDEs, excuse me, but also our conferences, conventions, things that members could go to develop their leadership skills and kind of provide feedback and suggestions for those future events and how to improve upon them and what the members would need to see in those events. So with that, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Haley.
Thank you so much, Derek. My name is Haley Bodie. I'm serving as the state secretary this year, and I am the committee chair of the foundation committee. So this year we've worked really hard on just making sure people know what the foundation is and our goal and the main goal of the foundation and where all the money from the foundation goes and how it supports us FFA members. Our biggest fundraiser we did this year was the Pure Vita bracelets. I'm rocking one right now. So if you haven't got one of those, I recommend you guys go purchase one. They're super fun, super cool, an awesome way to support FFA. And we just deal with everything foundation and supporting them and promoting their message.
All right, Levi, take it away.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. My name is Levi Meyerhofer. Can you guys hear me? Sorry, I have headphones. I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I'm the state reporter this year, and I run the member engagement committee. And so basically, I just kind of call it the social media committee because that's where we do all of our member engagement. When it comes to not being at events, that's where we do a lot of it. So the things that we do in the member engagement committee focus on the social media outreach from us here at the state, around the state to the members at each of their chapters.
Awesome. Thank you, Levi, and thank you to all my fellow officers. My committee is the Advisor Retention and Recruitment Committee. So essentially what our committee does is we try to support ag teachers however we can. Typically that is in ways of sending letters. So we've sent lots and lots of letters this year to ag teachers. I also made some stickers for them. So that's something that we've been doing. But really any way we can think of to support ag teachers or retain them, we do things in that vein, and then also to recruit new ag teachers. What things can we do for that? So those are kind of the two things that my committee focuses on. So with that, I know we had a few that were already in breakout rooms. Sorry guys, it's just kind of been a mess. But because Mr. Edgar's gone and he's kind of our crew guy, so we're just fine, But anyways, with that, now we will go ahead and break off into breakout rooms. So if you have not typically been in a crew meeting, just pick whichever committee speaks to you most. So yeah, go ahead and hop into your breakout room if you can see them. And if not, you can either unmute yourself and let us know what room you need to be in, or chat Mrs. Bunselmeyer, and she will be the
or
one
you
that
can
puts
just
you in
tell me.
those.
I
Yep.
see Sean, and Sean, would you like to be assigned to a room? Sean Haggerty from Chicago High School for Ag Sciences. Also see Ryan's iPad, and I see Kylie. Those are three that have not picked a room. And if you want to be moved from one location to the next, just let me know. No, what's your room? What's Rachel's room again? She's Ag Ed, right?
Advisory retention.
You're supposed to be in. Is that right? Chloe, you need to be where? Let's see. Who's in leadership and needs to go to member? Just get assigned to these rooms anyway. This is really, really confusing me. You are in leadership. I don't understand it. What's up, Kate? Do we still have people you think are not in the right spots? Kate Bureaus, I just moved you. Okay, so if you guys could tell me where you want to be. Braden, I think you were in the room you said you wanted to be in. Tell me where you want to be. Okay. Cole and Kara, I just moved you. Katie, where would you like to be?
Ag literacy, please.
Okay. You? What about Rylan? Samantha? Can you guys tell me where you're supposed to be? Braden, Riley?
Yes. So can you hear me right now?
I sure can, honey.
Okay. I'm supposed to be in member engagement unless
Gotcha.
it. Okay. Thank you
Nope,
so much.
I got you moved. What about you,
All right.
Riley?
Thank you.
I'm supposed to be in foundation committee.
Okay, where are you at, kiddo? How about you, Rylan? Rylan Anderson and Samantha? Where are you guys? Where are you wanting to go?
All right, looks like everybody is back into the main room. So what we're going to do now is we will hear from each committee and just learn about whatever it was that you discussed. And then once we're done, we'll kind of wrap up our crew meeting and I will announce our 2 giveaway winners. So who wants to go first? Levi looks excited. So Levi, you're up.
Oh no, I was just be like, oh my gosh, giveaway. No, I'm gonna toss it over to Dallas from Nashville on this one. Right. Are they able to unmute?
They should be. If not, let me just go unmute him. Dallas from Nashville?
Yes.
Or her, sorry.
They should be. We might have to try again, but they should be.
Yeah. He says it's not letting him.
Okay.
Try it again. It should be.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So we just kind of talked about some stuff maybe for next year that we could do differently, or stuff that we liked for next year's committee. And, we also discussed about our favorite movies. And that was pretty much it. We didn't have much time to talk there, so.
Thank you, Dallas. I'm gonna toss it over to Kate now.
Perfect. Thank you, Levi. And with that, I'm going to send it to Georgia to do a little recap on the Ag Literacy Committee.
Yeah, so for Ag Literacy Week, last meeting, we discussed that we were going to read books to the elementary schoolers during the week of March 20th through the 24th. And so we just kind of went over like our plan of action for that. And we didn't really have time to go over maybe what we could change or what we liked about our committee. But overall, I think our planning was good. I think that there was a lot of great ideas shared, and it was a great opportunity. But other than that, I think that's about it.
Awesome job, Georgia. Thank you. I'm going to send it over to Haley.
Thank you, Kate. And I'm going to send it over to Peter. He's going to wrap up what the foundation committee did.
Thank you, Haley. We just talked about our suggestions for next year. We had a really great year with the Pura Vida bracelet sales, which raised so much money. And we talked a little bit about what we wanted the foundation committee to look like next year. We thought it might be a good idea to stray away from t-shirts like we did this year with the bracelets and look at more items that support FFA and also give money to the foundation, but aren't t-shirts. And so we recommended some of those things, and we're excited to see what the next year's committee has to offer.
Perfect. Thank you, Peter. I'm going to toss it over to Derek.
Thank you, Haley. Excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to Kylie and Hunter from Carlisle to give us a recap.
Okay, so we talked about the Ground Zero and Build conferences and how they went and what we should change for next year. But our main topic was on the junior high conference that Illinois FFA is holding in April. We mentioned some ideas that we had, including more than one location so more students can attend. A lot of the junior high schools have strict rules on overnight trips. We also suggested that it instead, so they can have workshops instead of more sitting down and like booklet type things. So the students can stay up and active with their short attention span as junior high kids.
Thank you, guys. I'll go ahead and send it back over to Rachel.
Thank you, Derek, and thank you all for sharing. To wrap up our committee, Mark, would you like to give a report from what our committee discussed?
I'd love to. First, we talked about the ag teacher appreciation cards that we had sent in and filled out to be sent out to section chairs and ag teachers with 5 years to get out. So Rachel expressed her appreciation to that. And then we kicked it off to Rachel having the idea of having, she's going to interview the Golden Owl, each section Golden Owl Award, and post that on the Illinois FFA media, social media. And then we talked about the pre-session videos we wanted to include about ag teachers during convention.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. So that does kind of wrap up our crew meeting, but before we're done, I did promise 2 giveaway winners. So drum roll, please. Our first giveaway winner is Tyler from Odin FFA. So Tyler, what I'm going to need from you is I need you to direct message me. If you want me to send this straight to your house, you can direct message me your address, or I'll just send it to your school. And I also need to know your t-shirt size, because it might just be an FFA themed shirt and some other goodies, but we'll see. And then our other giveaway winner is Georgia Harvell from the Canelan FFA chapter. So Georgia, you can do the same. Go ahead and direct message me those things. And yeah, that kind of wraps up our meeting. With that, we do encourage you, if you are one of the 2 delegates from your FFA chapter, to talk to your advisor about it. But our business session, which is kind of the wrap up of crew, because it's when we present our recommendations from each committee, is at 3:30 p.m. on Wednesday, May 31st. So if you're a delegate for your chapter, you will be a part of that. So yeah, I was just making sure Kate didn't need anything. With that kind of wraps up our crew meeting. Unless there's anything else anybody needs to say. Majors, are we good? Okay. Thank you all so much for joining, and thank you for joining the town hall as well and being respectful listeners. Hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day.
Good. And things are going well with your new job?
We good? All right. I gotta
Bye,
get to.
Queens.
Yep, I gotta get to a banquet. Bye.
Have fun.